So that's about the abstract of this POC. Now the tools used in this POC are MATLAB Octave and the machine learning model for support for the machine. And we use the MATLAB online tool to execute our code and see the output. So now let's have a walkthrough of code of what exactly is written and how are we training a model and how are we classifying it as a fraud or non-fraud transaction. So this is an online MATLAB tool which helps us execute our Octave code and train a model, machine learning model, and use it as a classifier for a fraud detection. So as I have mentioned earlier, the CSV file or the input file for online transactions fraud is taken in creditcard.csv. So this file is all about input data set, and it has almost 280,000 plus records or transactions which can be taken as the entire input divided into training set and test set. So that division part also is narrated in the code part. So there's no chance that every time we work on such a huge data set, so 284,000 and plus records are really a huge number of data. And yes, this model can effectively use every single record or every single transaction to understand if a particular transaction is fraud or non-fraud and help it in the real time to distinguish with the test data. So now we detect the import options using the ops parameter. So let me just brief out about the MATLAB UI. So these are the names of files which are available in the drive, and this is the program area, and this is the workspace, and this is the command window. Command window is used to execute our commands, and workspaces are memory where variables or the parameters used in the program are saved. So now I'm using the ops to detect the import options from the credit card CSV. So the intention of this step is to detect all the import options available in that file. So that's a MATLAB IO file. So this is the name of the parameter or the variable created and what is its value and the size and the class of what kind of variable it is. So I take the entire data set into two parts, input and output. So as I've mentioned earlier, the class variable is the output variable having values 0 and 1 to determine if a transaction is fraud or non-fraud. Until class variable, we have other variables which can be considered as input. So now I treat every other input variable as a element in a vector and class as another vector. So there are two variables which is input x and output y. The x input contains all variables along with the amount variable, and the output variable y has the class variable. So these are the selected variable names. I'm executing this name here. Now I read this, the read table option allows us to read it to a MATLAB table. So now I read these input values to MATLAB table X table. So if you can see, there are 29 input variables along with the amount variable with 284,807 transactions. This is a matrix of rows and columns which is stored in a MATLAB table. So we repeat the same to select the output variable class. And we also read it to the MATLAB table. So if we can observe the workspace here, the white table is again a 2,84,807 by 1 vector. So this has only one uh, column, which is the class column, and the X has the 29 input columns, which is considered as a matrix. So it's always a better idea to plot our data and understand what exactly is happening with our data. So this step can possibly give us a plot of yeah. So this step will exactly give the plot of input and output variables. So now we cannot directly operate on MATLAB tables. Now we have to copy the table data to a variable. So now I first copy the X table, the input data to the variable X. So if you can see, this is a variable which is termed as double, and I've considered first 700 transactions because I've already mentioned I will train my classifier with training set and test it with this other part of data. So this number, the 1 to 700, indicates that I'm taking from first element to 700th element. So this number is a variable or a parameter which can vary as per our convenience and as per our design. So for now, I've taken first 700 transactions to train our classifier to understand the data in those 700 transactions and understand to design a model to detect a fraud. Now I similarly take the first 700 output variables into y parameter. So the workspace has populated with the two parameters x and y, which is 700 by 29 and 700 by 1 variables. Now we can work on the exact coding part on how we train our input variables using machine learning model.